It's been addressed as God.
Continue.
And so the language of deity
Into Hebrews, like I said.
is used of human beings as well as Yahweh himself. So when you say it's simply monotheistic, sometimes it can use language which is polytheistic.
So I want to say that from the very first verse, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The verb created is singular masculine. That is the same to the very last page. That there is monotheism that is taught from the first to the last page. So if you want to talk about, for example, the poetic books of Psalms, by all means do that. However, you cannot stray from the message of monotheism, which is at every page of the...
No, I'm just saying sometimes the biblical writers use the language that is properly given to God. They use it to other beings as well. Now, I'm not trying to make a big deal out. Well, what I'm saying, I'm not saying that the Bible is polytheist. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's when I.
Did you hear that?
No, it's not. But when you said the Bible is monotheist begin to end, I thought, not really. There are passages where polytheism is implied, where human beings are called God, and then they say that God has a God, which means there's at least two gods.
Let me ask you this question: is the sacred name for God found in Exodus attributed to angels?
What is the sacred name?
Well, for some who are Jewish, they may not want to hear it. But
no, I'm not Jewish, don't worry. No. I would say it's not Yahweh. Do you know why I would say that? I would question again. You say these things, and I'm thinking, I know what you mean, but I don't think you're quite right.
Okay.
I mean, if you've done a PhD, you know what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to say.
Well, there are many words for God. So
no. Why did I query what you've just said about Yahweh?
I have no idea what to do.
You don't know.
Please tell me.
I'm impressed. You don't know. No, seriously. We have no idea how this sacred name is pronounced. We simply don't know. No one knows. All we know, exactly. All we have are 4 consonants in the Hebrew. We don't know what the vowels are. And why is that? Because the sacred name was only pronounced on the lips of the high priest once a year in the temple. The temple was destroyed 2,000 years ago by the Romans. We have no idea what the sacred name is. All we have are this Yahweh. The Yahweh is a made-up word. It's literally made up. We have no idea what the name is.
And that's a very interesting take. And there's another point. Yahweh, at best, can be traced back to the Hebrew language. The 4 letters.
The 4 consonants.
Yeah, 4 consonants. Wait, but how do we know that's the term, or those are the consonants were used by Moses when he spoke to God directly? What did he actually call him? Do we know? We have no idea. We don't know what language Moses spoke. We don't even know what Jesus spoke. There are estimates, there are opinions that he spoke a dialect of Aramaic that was spoken in Palestine in the 1st century CE. So this is also another angle to look at. Okay, do we even have the languages of the prophets? Do we know what language they spoke and how they actually spoke to God in what language? That's why when you claim Yahweh is the personal name of God, you really have a lot of problems.
We don't know that. That's a guess.
Was an angel or angels, or say judges, which were called that, were they ever called this sacred name?
That we don't know what it is.
Were they ever called angels, yes or no?
Yeah, but no, we don't know what the name is, so to ask me if they ever called that is a bit of a moot point, isn't it? But we don't know what it is, so how can I tell you whether or not they were called that?
Right, so
it's an impossible question. I can't answer. We can't answer. But I can say, that angels and others were called other names of God. Elohim. Okay.
But not that name.
I'm on my own now without my teacher.
But not that name.
But I have our senior teacher here who will correct me if I make mistakes. So the other names of God are used of angels. Moses is called Elohim, and even Jewish scholars, you know, Philo of Alexandria, roughly contemporaneous with Jesus' life. He's probably the greatest Jewish Bible scholar in the ancient world, Philo of Alexandria in Egypt, and he wrote a marvelous commentary on the Torah, not surprisingly, and he actually calls Moses Theos. What's Theos? Theos is God. He actually calls him.
The Hebrew word, it is not the same.
No. I'm talking in Greek, because he was a Greek-speaking Hellenistic Jew.
Sorry, the word for the sacred name is not Theos.
We don't know what the sacred name is.
It's not. I'm sorry. The Septuagint.
No.
Make that very clear.
No. I'm talking
Have
about.
you studied the Septuagint?
I'm talking about.
Yes or no?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So what is the word that
So were you aware
the
that
tetragramma? What is it called? What is it translated in Greek?
well, as well, it's not. It's usually either Lord,
Which is what?
Kurios, or Adonai, which is their preferred one because it's not. But we don't know what the Hebrew word is.
What is it translated
So-
into Greek?
My point is this: that even Jews
okay.
called Moses God,
It's not the way it's translated.
and
ever.
in Psalm 45, the psalmist
Paul,
called
Paul,
a man God. All right.
The Greek word for the sacred name is never theos.
I never said it was. Well, it's Lord.
I'm making a point.
It's Kurios.
It's
I said it was.
not
I said it was Kurios.
Right.
I actually said it was Kurios. I never said it was there. I said it was
So we
Kurios.
can't use the sacred name to say theos of
No.
whoever you want
No,
to
but
say
I'm
Bible.
saying is that Moses was called God by the most
Not
respected
called-
Jewish.
It was not called kurios. It was not.
But it's not the only name for God.
Okay. But we understand.
Are you aware of that?
there are
It's not. There are
figurative-
many names for God
So-
in the Greek language and in the Hebrew language.
Let's go to Hebrew.
And yeah.
Including Phil.
So what you have to understand is something he understands and I understand. I think you understand it. There's something called figurative or majazi, and there's literal, hakiki.
Of course.
Okay? And I know he doesn't like me to use these terms, but it's Arabic and it's nice.
No, I know.
I'm sure he has no problem with
I have no
using
problem
those.
with that.
So you have to understand when you're going to Psalm 45, right? This is again the book in the books of what? Poetry. We have to understand there is.
No, this is not
figurative-
poetry. This
It
is devotion.
figurative
No, this is not
language.
poetry.
It is.
I don't think. No, I would challenge the genre question there. I don't think Psalm 45 is a work of poetry. I think it's a work of doxology.
I would say it's
a
the work of
doxology.
installing a king.
Yeah.
And there are poetic things about it.
Right. Can I ask you, what does Son of God mean in the Bible?
What does Son of God mean?
No, I asked you.
I will answer, but I want to hear first.
I'm not asking my friend, my teacher. I'm not asking my teacher. I'm asking you, sir, with a PhD. Well, what does Son of God mean in the Bible?
So, I will say that if you want to give me an exact reference, I would be very happy to answer.
Well, it's all over the Bible. So you pick. You pick your example.
Go Old Testament and New Testament.
You pick one.
Okay. So first of all, the word son, it has some different meanings.
Okay.
If
So you agree that sometimes it has different meanings.
So sometimes there's a figurative meaning, and if you would give me permission,
You don't need my
there's a
permission.
passage-
You can.
there's a passage
This is
that
free
speaks
speech.
about, for
Speaker's
example,
corner.
It speaks about the word father, which is related to the word son. So where is this word father first used? It's in the Torah, and it is figurative language, and it's speaking about as a father. As a father carries a son, and it speaks about God, in a sense, caring for the nation of Moses that came out. Now, when we read that, is that hakiki? Is that literal, or is this figurative? In the context, it's majazi. So we understand early tradition of the Torah speaking about the compassionate one. Go to the book of Psalms. You see that the first time, and this is a beautiful thing.
So remember, my question was about the Son of God. I wasn't asking a lecture about all these other things.
I'm giving you context because it's a complicated question.
Well, it is actually. I'll give you an example.
Please don't interrupt me.
Adam is called Son of God in the beginning of Luke's Gospel. Adam is called the Son of God. There's a genealogy that starts from Jesus, goes all the way back
David was
to
son of God.
and David. No, but Adam is called the Son of God.
Yeah.
So when we talk about sons of God in the New Testament, let alone in the Old, we're not necessarily talking about divine beings at all.
Out of respect, please don't interrupt me. I won't interrupt
No,
you.
but,
You interrupt me.
I was just getting your focus. Your focus
No,
was not on the
I'm
subject.
totally focused 100%.
I'm not sure
But-
it seemed like it.
Yeah, so you go to Psalms, and it speaks the first time about Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. It's a beautiful passage in which God is called the compassionate and the merciful.
Okay.
And of course, we know that this is a beautiful aspect of God. A few verses later, it speaks again about him, now in the Psalms, as a father, and speaking about, again, connecting it with his compassion.
Yeah, remember, it's the Son of God we're talking about here.
Just saying.
But by the way, allowing you to talk doesn't mean you can go on indefinitely about not the subject we're talking about.
but see, son and
So-
father,
so,
they are the subject.
no, but when the
So
Bible
anytime-
uses the expression Son of God, what does it mean?
So then getting to the New Testament, Jesus says, be compassionate as your Father is compassionate. So I want to talk about the idea of Father being, first of all, a figurative kind of language from the Torah, from the Zabur, from the Psalms, and in the Injil.
No.
And that is a beautiful
So
thing
remember, we're
related
talking
to
about the
God.
meaning of the term
And again,
Son of
it's-
God
excuse
in the
me,
Bible.
Excuse me. It's merciful. And it's
So,
connected
so
to
what
the
does
word
Son of God
merciful.
mean in the
Now,
Bible?
When, for example, he says, "Blessed are the peacemakers."
We're not going to get there.
Blessed
Okay.
are the peacemakers.
Well, they should be.
You said I can
Okay.
choose the verse, so here we go.
Please, please.
Blessed are the peacemakers,
Well, they should be
for
called-
they shall be called sons of God.
Exactly.
I want you to listen. Why are they called sons? Because of the tradition from the Torah, the tradition from the Psalms, and the tradition of the Injil. That someone who reflects God as a peacemaker to bring peace.
I know what it means.
Is
So,
full of
so
compassion.
is someone who is called the Son of God, are they a divine being?
I just gave you an answer to one.
Is that yes or no? That's what you said to me earlier. Yes or no?
So are you
Yes
on
or
a different
no?
verse or not? I said there are many meanings.
Yes or no?
You'll have to give me a specific verse.
Okay. Well,
You didn't choose one.
I gave you. Okay. If Jesus is called the Son of God, does that mean he's divine?
Just give me the verse where he's called that.
What? You tell. There are lots of verses. Does it mean he's?
The only
Okay.
begotten Son. Okay, yeah, that's like.
Why are you being so evasive? I'm asking a Christian.
Yeah.
When
Because
Jesus called the
there's
Son of God, does it mean he's God?
There's
And he
different
won't
contexts,
answer.
My friend, there are many different
Okay, the
contexts.
context as a,
Thank
that's why
you.
he loved God. God loved the
Are you
world. He
ready?
has sent his begotten Son.
Thank
I'm
you.
ready.
Are you
Yeah,
ready?
just.
You're
Oh,
gonna
no.
love this. You're gonna love this.
You okay?
my friend. Are you
Okay.
ready for this?
Okay, yeah.
What does the word monogenes mean in Greek?
Okay.
Sorry, do you mind?
You tell me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, are you a pastor, a scholar, or what are
No,
you?
no. I'm a student.
Paul
Of,
is a
I'm a
scholar.
student. I'm a
He's a
student
scholar.
of my teacher,
He's a
and
scholar.
we are students of our teacher, our senior teacher.
When I ask
This
you
is a reality.
word, like
So,
monogenes, which is a word he just quoted,
yeah, I know what it
don't
means.
mind-
I know what it means. The question is, what does Son of God mean
I'm sorry.
in
Paul,
the Bible?
What is
that's the
monogenes
question.
mean in
Mean.
Greek?
I know what it means.
Answer.
It means the only begotten.
And wrong.
It means what, sorry?
Okay, this is incorrect.
Only begotten.
And this is something I got to talk to you about earlier. There are misinterpretations. Now, mana is the first part of the word, which we could translate only.
It is translated that way by Christians usually.
Okay, my friend, I wish you were a scholar because
I'm not.
you're
I never
showing
claimed to
you're
be.
not.
I'm not a scholar.
Genes does not come from the word to beget.
Okay.
It means, excuse me, I'm going to finish without
Okay.
No,
interrupting.
no, but
Say it.
you've been
Genese
going
is
on
the
for
word
about 10 minutes
genus.
now.
I know, because we're scholars and we want
because
to discuss
it's supposed to be a
scholars'
discussion,
information.
not a lecture.
So,
It's turned into an
genese
academic lecture.
Is actually where we get the word genus.
Okay. Now the question is,
kind.
what
So
does
it is
this?
not begotten, it is
Okay,
one of
fine.
a kind, and it has been
That's fine.
mistranslated.
So
Paul.
what does the Son
By
of
who?
God mean?
By who?
And by who, Paul? Who was it mistranslated by?
Well, you tell me. I'm not here to answer your questions. You must tell us the answer.
Yes.
Now, the question is
mess
this:
came from the
when
Christian.
the Bible
The mess
calls
came from the
someone the
Christian.
Son of God, does it mean a divine being? No, it doesn't.
So the old
because
Latin, my
Adam is
friend,
called the Son of God.
My friend.
Israel
the
is
old
called the
Latin.
Son of God.
He interrupted me. How
No,
can I
but
have a
it's a
William,
dialogue. It's
William,
my
be
friend.
patient.
It's a
Be
conversation.
patient.
It's a
Be
conversation.
patient. Be patient.
You're just
Because
going
he
on and
asked
on and
you a
on and on.
question, And you just
Really?
and you had the
Yeah,
lecture.
let him explain.
I-
Let him explain, and then you will get your time. No
Right.
problem.
See, you asked him some question,
Let me
he
explain
answered
what.
directly. Okay.
Let me explain what I'm asking, Mr. The reason I'm not just random question. The problem is the original religion of Jesus, what he went around Galilee preaching, is one thing, and if you were, it's quite different from the religion that Christians follow today, the religion about Jesus. And one example is this: the term "Son of God." In its original Palestinian Jewish context, in the Jewish Bible, Son of God was a metaphorical statement, a figure of speech. So Israel is called Son of God, David is called Son of God, angels are called sons of God. There are lots of different people.
They are called
now,
gods.
And they're called gods, exactly. You shall be called gods. And Jesus quotes this in John chapter 10. But when Christianity was born after the time of Jesus, quite a different religion focused on Jesus rather than his message. People who believed in the Greco-Roman world, they believed in gods and divinities and demigods and humans like Achilles who was semi-divine. The idea of Son of God became more metaphysical. It became more like you were a divine being in your nature. This was a paganization of Christianity. The meaning, the word was the same, Son of God, but the Jewish understanding had been lost and it became Hellenized, it became Christianized. And so Christians today, when I ask them the question that you avoided answering, what does it mean for Jesus to be the Son of God? And you refuse to answer it. You gave a long lecture, which is pretty much not on the subject. The answer should have been, it means he was God. That's what Christians always say.
I had the same struggle with
Oh, really?
William because I would ask a direct
You want
question.
simple
Oh, really?
questions
Yeah.
to multiple different answers.
Right, so to finish what I was saying, so the term Son of God is very plastic, very elastic. It changes its meaning. The original Palestinian context, it means a human being. Blessed are the peacemakers. You quoted this, for they should be called sons of God. We can all be sons of God in that metaphorical sense, but Christianity, particularly the Council of Nicaea in the 4th century, where the Son is the same substance as the Father, homoousion. Here we have the hard metaphysical change of meaning, and now the Son of God means Jesus is God. And this is a corruption of the meaning. It is a bid'ah, it's a deformation. And Islam calls us back to the original understanding of who Jesus really was, a prophet, a Messiah, and not God. Even in your Gospels, Jesus denies he is God in Mark chapter 10, verse 17. So it really matters, but this term is a very slippery one. And I'm saying that Christians have used it in a very pagan, philosophical way, a metaphysical Son of God. Originally it didn't mean that. And there was no harm in the original meaning.
Absolutely.
No harm. Adam is called the Son of God in, I think it's Luke chapter 2 or Luke chapter 3.
Metaphorically speaking, for that time, in that context, it means it's not a problem, right? For Muslims, we cannot use this term because it leads to those conclusions.
Yes.
As the Christians ended up in the 4th century declaring him to be God altogether, completely God.
Yeah.
Like he's God in essence, right?
Yeah.
And amazingly, the biggest opposition to these ideas came from the Christians themselves. There were no Muslims present, there were no Wahhabis standing there pushing down monotheism down your throat. No, it wasn't like that.
No Wahhabis.
There were Christian Wahhabis there. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be prudent.
Are you Christian?
Okay, there were Christians who were saying this is paganism. This is an extension to the meaning of our religion. This is a development on what we have believed for the last 300 years. And they were the majority, by the way.
Arius and his followers.
Arius.
They were the majority.
Bishop
Eusebius, and many others, against Athanasius and his followers.
So you see, this question, who is Jesus? Son of God, what does it actually mean? Is he God? And if he's God, in what sense? Right? The Christians today who come to us, the Bible thumpers, the Bible bashers, they come to us, they give an impression that this doctrine landed from the heavens in a box. Jesus received it and he gave it to his followers, and then they lived happily ever after. It doesn't work like that. So
if I could have a chance.
Yes,
again,
please.
I wanted to finish what I was saying.
Talking to us.
Now, he gave me an exact reference, and I respect an exact reference because you have different references that may mean different things at different times. Now, the word monogenes, again, I'm going to go back and say, it does not mean only begotten. That is not a good translation. Now, in the Old Latin, it was translated unicus, which is a good translation. It means unique, one of a kind, monogenes, one of a genus, one of a kind. And in the Vulgates, however, you have a very bad translation. So if you're a scholar, and I'm going to answer with a longer version because there is much more substance to this.
Can you make it concise, please, your answer, and not go on a long digression?
I didn't write
because remember, it's the Son of God.
With William, you have to bring him back to the...
Yeah, remember, it's the Son of God. No, but I need to. I need to interrupt you because you're not focusing on the subject.
In that case, it means that he is unique, and if you read the rest of the context of it, there's a way in which he's unique in that context.
Okay, now can you respond to his point?
Right, I'm saying that the original Palestinian Jewish understanding of Son of God was very different from the later Christianized, gentilized, pagan understanding of Son of God meaning a divine being. Are you aware of this transposition of meaning from one cultural context to another, from a Palestinian context? But I'm talking about the word, the term, the Son of God. Not verses. We're not Bible thumpers here. We're talking about the term itself. The way later Christianity changed the meanings of words to they meant something very different from what they originally did. Which is why, as my teacher correctly says, Muslims no longer use this term as God has told us to, because it has been corrupted. Exactly. And it leads to misunderstandings. But originally, if we're historians, and my teacher is an historian, we can see it meant something quite different. And it's not a problem there, but it's a problem now because of the way the language has been changed and corrupted by the Christian church much later. How do you respond to that?
Just a quick sentence. I want to add, please. What Paul is saying is, Israelites in the 1st century in the Middle East, or let's say in Judea or Palestine as we know it today, right, had a conception of the term Son of God.
Sorry.
The conception of the term Son of God was not the same as what it became with Hellenic
in the
Christian
church.
thinkers
Exactly.
in the 3rd and the 4th
In
century.
the creeds and
Do you
councils of the
understand that
church.
distinction?
Yeah.
This is what Paul is talking
Exactly.
about. Can you address that, please?
Please.
Also, there is a bit here because when the Catholic guy came here, he said to him, "You are my brother in faith." So he considered what he believes Jesus to be a son of God, which he believes a part of God, part of the triune God. He considered him as his brother in faith earlier. So now he's saying there is something means unique, etc. By the same time, you are accepting as well someone to be your brother in faith who accept Jesus to be part of the triune God.
Yes.
So where you stand now here?
So does he. But we have made that distinction now. Can you address that
Unfortunately.
very specific distinction between the two ideas? The
Unfortunately,
Israelite
he's not here
and
to talk
the
about
Hellenic
this right
Christian
now.
thinking.
If I
Exactly.
asked him, are you a monotheist? I only hope he would say yes. Would he say yes?
All the Christians, they say monotheist. It doesn't matter what they say.
Okay. So
Can
this
you
is
address
the,
Paul's question?
They believe in the Trinity, and that's not
They believe in
monotheism.
Trinity. They say monotheist. They believe in triune God as one God.
that's not
So they say
monotheism.
that's how they use it. So you said to
Again,
him,
he's not here,
you are-
so I can't ask
No,
him,
he was
unfortunately.
here. You know, he's Catholic. Simple
he
as
left,
that.
so I can't ask him right now.
Any Catholic believes this. You said to him, "You are my brother in faith," because you accepted someone who believes Jesus to be part of the triune God, part of God.
We didn't
you
actually talk
accepted
about
someone
that
to
term.
be.
Actually, we talked about
He's
the
a
books.
Catholic. He said he's devoted. He is devoted Catholic. He preached Catholicism.
You know it
he,
better than
he
me.
gets baptized, and he said this through Jesus. He was saying even he was criticizing people who doesn't follow the Catholic Church. He said this clearly, and yet you said you are my brother in faith,
Because
which
you
means you're
said that we're
accepting someone.
divided.
Because he
Because you
probably
said
has
we're
the same
divided.
conception. The point is, what Paul spoke about
Yeah.
very clearly,
Yes.
highlighting the distinction between two realities. Son of God, according to the Israelites in the 1st century CE in Palestine, and Son of God, the meaning of it,
Yes.
in the 3rd and the 4th century with the Christian Hellenic thinkers.
Very good.
Can you
Here we go.
please, because the latter is pagan in its origin. The
Now-
former is kind of monotheistic, coming from the Israelite tradition. So there are, yeah. Can you address that, please?
Now, I'm going to say two things and I'm going to answer that. Number one, out of respect, please don't interrupt me. And number two, I cannot deal, nor should anyone ever deal with generalizations. Generalizations are very harmful. You should be very specific. He was specific with me, and that specific verse was given. So you want to give me a specific? You said Adam. That was the only.
It's not to
specific.
do with verses. It's to
I'm
do with
sorry,
historical
you gave me a
change.
Are you addressing his
It's
question?
not to do with verses.
Yes.
Are you addressing the conception?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
This is
Because
historical
the one
theology.
thing-
It's
the
historical
one thing you
theology.
actually brought up was Adam was the son of God, right? And so, what is the definition in that? You said Luke chapter 2. I'll have to look and see if that was.
It could be
3
chapter
or
3,
2.
but
Okay.
it's there. Yeah.
So, in this sense, we see in context, he's saying so and so of so and so of so and so and so. When we get to Adam, was there a father for Adam, like a literal father?
How
No.
did the Israelites?
No.
Yeah.
So the term son there is very specific. God did not get a wife and have a son named Adam. It's very much a more metaphorical.
Spiritual.
He's the father in the sense that there was not a real father, but we know from Genesis that he created him from dust, right? So in this specific one, the only specific one you gave me,
No,
this is the
I
meaning.
didn't give you any verses.
No,
Let
actually,
me
he
clar-
didn't address your point.
No, can I clarify? I repeatedly said, and I begin to, with respect, doubt your sincerity now. I repeatedly told you I'm not referring to any verses. I've said this several times clearly. What I'm referring to is what we call historical theology, the way meanings of terms in theology or Christology have changed from a Palestinian context to a Hellenistic context.
Exactly.
But you insist on going back to verses, which I've told you I'm not referring to. This is not an exercise in proof texting from the Bible. It's looking at how ideas have transformed meanings in different contexts. The way the original Palestinian gospel was fundamentally changed by people like Paul and other later people at Council of Nicaea, Athanasius and Council of Chalcedon to transform this gospel into something completely different. A metaphysical Son of God who is co-eternal with the Father, of the same substance, homoousion. This is the extraordinary transformation I'm referring to. Nitpicking on verses is completely irrelevant. If you insist on picking on verses, which are not my point, because I'm talking about historical movements over centuries, then we're not engaging.
I
You're
think
talking
with
about
him,
something else.
With William, we have to take it step by step.
But life's too short.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
That's what I'm trying
I mean, it's going to be dark in an hour. I've got a life. Seriously, if he's not going to address the subject, what are we doing here?
Let's try again. William, 1 second.
Yes, I don't want to.
Life's too short.
I want to show respect.
Okay,
Go
the
ahead.
Israelite conception of the term Son of God, is it the same as the 3rd century Christian Hellenic conception of the term Son of God?
Hallelujah.
Simple question.
Yes.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And I want to just, as I get
Please
the floor
let him
now,
answer.
and will not be interrupted. I first came to this sheikh and I said, I'm doing some research on the Muslim view of the gospel.
This is not a good start. This is not a good beginning to an answer to
And
this
so
question.
I didn't ask him about historical theology. I'm more interested in the text, to be honest with you.
So you're not going to address the question then?
So, again,
After all
is
this,
there-
he's not
is
going to
there-
address it.
Is there a difference
Listen, my question, I'll
between
repeat
the
my
3rd century
question.
Hellenism?
William,
I think we should give up.
Sure we could.
Life is too short. Life is too
William,
short.
William, general question.
I must give it.
I've got to go home. It's going to get dark
I
soon.
must give it to you.
Why don't you just answer the question? It's so simple.
He's not Sheikh.
It is something
He's not going to
Why are you
answer.
skipping
He's not
from
going to
the-
answer.
Let us help
What
him.
what
Let
you
us help
said
him.
about it?
Let us give you the news.
You called someone who believed in the triune God, believed in Jesus to be Son of God, believed Jesus to be.
It's gonna
believed
go
a God,
on a
believed
different
someone who's a God.
tangent.
A man came
We're
in the
gonna
form
stick
of a
to
man
this.
as a God. So you called him your brother in faith. So do you accept this?
Oh,
You
sorry.
said he's still your brother in faith.
He will answer each other.
Again, I don't know him, so I cannot answer.
Okay,
No
if
problem.
there is someone here,
Sheikh, this is
supposedly
a different
Christian,
question.
believes that Jesus is God. Is he your brother in faith?
Separate question. Where we are.
I can get to that.
Okay, answer. Is he your brother in faith? For example, me, if someone claims that
Sheikh,
believe in
he's
Muhammad,
gonna go on a separate
you know
tangent.
how much we love Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. If someone come today and he said I'm a Muslim, but I believe Muhammad is part of God, I will say you are a disbeliever. a
That's
kafir.
11 cameras.
I will say directly. You see,
Amazing.
That's how it is. We clear. We don't have this. Wishy-washy
The
thing.
question we are asking him will establish the answer. So my question to you again is, the conceptions of the Israelites, the Israelite conception of the term Son of God, is it or was it
Adnan has
different
much
to
more
the
patience
3rd
than
and the
me.
4th
This is why he's
century?
my teacher.
Christian Hellenic conception of the term, was it different?
Oh, I'm sure that the 3rd century may not have understood anything.
No. I'm not talking about century.
It's a general question. I'm going to give a
The
general
Christian church fathers in the 3rd and the 4th century,
I know in a second.
they had a conception of the term Son of God, which was not necessarily the conception of the Israelites in the 1st century CE in Palestine. Do you agree with that?
Okay, let's say in
But do you
general
agree or
there was a
disagree?
difference, but you're not giving me a specific
Do you
person.
agree with my rendition? Do you
Maybe,
agree?
but you're not
No,
giving
no.
me a specific.
I agree with it.
Yeah.
You agree with it. We
All
all agree with
all
it.
scholars
Do you agree with
Give me a
it?
3rd
Yes
century
or no?
scholar. 3rd
Yes
century
or no?
scholar.
Do you agree with
3rd
that?
century scholar.
Athanasius.
Go.
Athanasius.
Okay? And you're asking if it was different from the Israelites of the 1st century.
Yes.
100%. Poles apart.
I can give you 20 people in the early church, all prominent churchmen, theologians,
First and fourth
bishops, from
Constantine
Augustine
the
to
First.
Tertullian, Irenaeus, Justin Martyr.
Cappadocian Fathers.
None of them believe what the
Gregory of
Palestinians
Nazianzus,
believed about Jesus.
Gregory of Nyssa, and
It's not rocket. This is not rocket science. I mean, it's obvious.
Cappadocian Fathers.
Gregory Nazium and
Basil of Caesarea.
and
Again,
Fred.
My concern has never been with the 3rd and 4th century people. I'm interested in the 1st century.
No, it's my. This is the question that
So,
we're
sure,
discussing.
I'm
You
sure
can't just
that
say it's
you
your concern.
I'm sure you
Will you
can
can we
find
address
some
the
writings in
issue?
the 3rd
Because the
century.
Christian understanding of Son of God is radically different from the original Palestinian understanding. The criticism is, from Islamic point of view, is that Christians have made Jesus into a god.
Yes.
By calling him a divine Son of God.
Same essence
This
as
very
God the Father.
language, Son of God, in its original Jewish Palestinian context, did not mean that.
Exactly.
Because they could use this language of Adam, of David, of Israel,
All the
and
Israelites.
angels,
All
and the
the
Israelites. It did not mean that. So we're saying this
Disciples.
this transformation
Jesus
of meaning,
calls them
the
sons of-
apotheosis of Jesus, whatever you want to call it, is not indigenous to the religion of Jesus. It is a later paganization of the faith, and we see it very clearly at Nicaea and Chalcedon and
100%.
Constantinople and Ephesus, where Jesus,
This is history.
where Mary is called the Mother of God. You've been there. You can watch a YouTube video. He's actually there in Ephesus, the place where Mary is called Theotokos, the Mother of God.
Mother of God.
So
God-bearer.
Jesus' mother becomes divine. And the Quran says
the
this.
Catholic prays to her. The Catholics pray to her.
She's called Mother of God, Spouse of the Holy Spirit, Queen of the universe.
Even the Coptic prays to her. The Coptic, they say,
I've been
Mother
to
of God. Yeah.
I've been to Latin America, Sheikh.
Yeah.
Every single street corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have
a statue of Mary. Jesus is not there.
Yeah, even
Mary.
Same in Rome. Literally in modern Rome.
They pray
as well.
to Mary.
Yeah.
So it's a Mary cult now. It's Mariology, but this is
Yeah.
a field.
I'm going to ask you a question.
this-
I'm going to ask you a question.
No,
Is Theotokos-
why not answer a question for a
no,
change?
no.
Why not answer a question
Theotokos
instead of asking us questions? Why not answer the question?
Let them ask and answer to
No,
the same way. The same way.
Is Theotokos
Yeah.
found in the Bible?
Life's too short, dude. It's too short.
Okay. Did you hear what he said?
No, I was just saying life's too short. Really, I was.
We know Mary was the mother of Jesus. We know that.
By the way, maybe, Clara, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. You said you are interested in the first century, let's say, understanding of the gospel, and you are not interested in the one who came after,
third, fourth
which
century.
means you accept the concept of the first century interpretation that Son of God means devoted person to God. Do you accept this?
I love all of the meanings from the first century. Third, I don't care about.
So do you accept?
Again,
Son doesn't
He
mean.
gave one example, and he didn't even quote a verse. Give me more verses.
I'm not quoting verses. I'm not interested in verses. I'm interested in the idea of the Son of God, how that changed its semantic meaning in the paganization of Christianity. This has nothing to do with particular proof texting. We're not fundamentalists here. We're looking at history. History.
Ibn Asabil, or Ibn Sabil in Arabic, right? It could be translated the son of the road, the path, maybe a visitor, someone traveling. The literal would be the son of the road.
The path.
The path. Now, as I've asked my Muslim friends, is this literal or figurative? All of them have said, well, this is a figurative, majazi usage.
That's fine.
And so we have to understand when the term father is used, it is majazi, it is figurative. When we look at the term son, it is majazi, it is figurative.
Okay, good.
So these are some issues that these are the deeper issues, not what someone in the third century
This is your area because it's Arabic.
Okay, good. So you accept now, you are now with us on one page, that when they said about Jesus as Son of God, this is figurative, this is majazi. It's not necessarily, so Jesus is not Son of God as begotten as they say.
Thank you.
Rather than to say Jesus was someone, a godly person.
Again,
Yeah.
the word only begotten is a mistranslation of the Greek monogenes.
We're not talking about that. We're talking.
Why do you interrupt it again?
Back to that.
Because
It's
it's
very clear to
that's
us.
his
He
comfort
said it.
zone.
We
That's all he can talk about.
hear
He can't
once.
talk about anything else.
It's clear to us.
He can't
You
change
made it
the
very
subject,
clear.
have a
Interrupting, I'm
conversation.
going to walk away.
So
I want to say and.
because he's not engaging in conversation.
And,
He's just going on and
it
on about
is
the same
figurative,
things.
and it is
I
figurative.
don't really see any point.
And it is figurative.
I agree.
Just
I
like
agree.
you
Thank,
said.
nice talking to you.
Nice
Thank
talking to
you.
you.
Thank you.
You
William,
see-
seriously.
Nice talking to you, William.
By the way.
I have a bunch of mics here. Sorry, folks.
Anytime, anywhere, because we can actually have a conversation. Albeit without consequence sometimes, no problem. But we can talk to you, and because you're such a nice
But
person.
I wish. You're. By the way, you're such a nice person again.
Yeah, you're polite.
But the
So
problem
hear other
is you are not
people.
engaging in the discussion.
You're not addressing the
Care
question.
about the third
I've got all
century.
these
No,
mics.
no, we're not-
None of them are
There are
mine.
many things.
No, to give it to
By the way,
Thank you, William. Sorry, I've got too many. Got a whole handful of mics.
Carlos, give it to.
I was actually going to. Perhaps I should have wrapped up there and spoke to the camera.
Yeah. Here you go. Actually, let's wrap up. Oops. By the way, let's wrap up. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so I don't know what are these ones, but let's see. Let's wrap up. Khalas, they can hear, inshallah. So for my brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, at least we had today a very fruitful discussion, I believe. Now the only issue is that you could tell that the guy, he was just all over the place. He wasn't engaging with
I had high hopes because he said he had a PhD in religion. I thought, great,
Yeah,
we
we
can
thought-
do a business now.
we can have something.
Fantastic, an actual PhD. Unfortunately, he refused repeatedly to even
Yeah.
address basic questions of theology, basic questions of the Bible, and he kept on distracting and avoiding, and this is a great shame.
You know, and you know, the irony is that he came to criticize certain Islamic traditions initially when he came, and then after that I said to him, you need to understand. He said, I have my friend from Al Azhar. I said, it doesn't matter how it is. You have to engage with the things now. Let's implement this. Let's discuss the Bible first, and then we'll talk about, for example, the certain Islamic traditions and all of these things. But anyway, at the end of the day, it was an overall. That's some people that are lost in philosophy, by the way. And he was someone
I think he was just lost. I think he was just lost. I think he was lost in philosophy. I think
Allah guide him. But it was good, Allah Paul.
Anyway,
nice discussion, Allah barak fik.
It was an
Jazakallah
honour
khair.
to meet with my teacher.
Jazakallah
and
khair.
he actually knows what he's talking about.
Allah
which is
barak fik.
great.
Jazakallah khair. Allah barak fik. Jazakumullah khairan. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yalla. Take the things, please. Allah barak fik. Take, I can't just hold it. Slowly. What's that? Who's that? Who's that one?
I don't know. I'm gonna be happy. Give me here.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Who's that? That's yours?
No.
Allah fix it, please.
What just happened? Just come out, I think. Flip it back in. Give me here. Let me do it. I think.
No.
But if you touch anything in there, it will finish.